Okay, today we're going to be working on a Jello jump animation. So you will have a background color. So for this, the color you can just use doing a rectangle, and I'll show you that. And then of course you can use the oval tool to make your plate. And then you're going to draw out your Jello, okay? So I just did this with a paintbrush. It's not that perfect, and it's going to be something like this, okay? So the reason why there's so many blank frames here is just so that when it does loop, when you turn in a GIF, you know, we can see that what it's doing. Anyway, so I'll kind of show you each frame here. So it starts at a still, it squashes a little bit to get ready for the jump, squashes a little more, comes back up as it's getting ready to jump up, it stretches a little bit as it's jumping. This frame here at 6 is the exact same as this one. It's just moved up, okay? Here it is coming down more. It hits the plate and it squashes and stretches as it hits the plate. It's coming back up and it's back up into the original shape. So again, this one here, frame 11, is the same as frame 1. And then it's just blank keyframes until frame 20, okay? I did make another one that was a cube. This one is more like an oval shape, but I don't really care for this one as much. So in the demo, I'll be doing the cube shape, but you're welcome to do whatever shape of Jello that you'd like. What I would like you to also do, but I didn't do in that one, is add some kind of highlight or shadow into your Jello. I forgot to do it on there, and if I did it now, I'd have to go back and do it on every single frame. So I'm going to create a new file. I'm just going to leave this here at HD, and I am going to change my frame rate to 12. That is what I used here, and click Create. Okay, one thing you want to do is sometimes this does not show your whole entire frame. So you want to click on Show Frame, and it's going to show you your whole canvas. I noticed some of that on the squash and stretch the other day. So to do a background color, just get a rectangle. You can change your stage color, but sometimes, a lot of times, it will not, when you do your animation GIF, it will not load the background color from the stage. So I don't recommend doing that. I recommend just grabbing a cube, picking the color you want to use for your cube. If there's a color that you want, but you're not quite, like it's not quite right, you can go to Window Color, and then you can change that here. Let's say I want this color, but I want it lighter. Then you can, this is how you can change that, okay? Then I can come here, draw my square, or rectangle, sorry, and it's okay if it goes off the page. Then it's always good to get into a habit of renaming your layers. So this is my background. I'm gonna lock it so I don't mess it up. Then I'm gonna create a new layer for my plate. I'm just gonna make my plate white. You're welcome to make it any color you want. And not a cube, not a square, but I want it to be an oval. And I want the stroke to be a little bit bigger. So you see when you do this, that's what happens. So Animate's kind of annoying. But if you highlight over it, then it'll select everything. You can move it down if you want. Now in this one, I did put a little border around the plate. You can do that, or you can just leave it like this. I am gonna put a border, so I'm gonna highlight over all this again and just duplicate it. So you can do that by Control-C, Control-V, paste it, and then you would use the free transform to make that smaller to fit inside of your plate. You might just have to edit that up a little bit. Okay, I'm gonna lock that because that's not gonna move. And then I'm gonna draw out my Jello. Now, I personally am not good at drawing with a mouse. You're welcome to use a drawing tablet if you would like. I'm just gonna kind of wing it with a mouse, but I do want to look at my image here. So I know I have kind of like this L shape that I'm gonna try to make first. Okay, just switch that. Maybe make my stroke a little bit bigger. If you're using a drawing tablet, you might mess with the use pressure. It doesn't have to be perfect, okay? It's Jello. Oops. But you do kind of want your lines to almost be connected, so try your best to do that. And then for this, I just kind of did a line here, a line there. Connect that part down. Do I like that? No, not at all. After you have these, you can use this transform or selection and kind of move them. If they need to be stretched, you can stretch them out without having to redraw them. If they need to be rotated, there's also this over here where you can click straighten, and it'll try to straighten your line as best. Sometimes it doesn't always work out like you might want it to, but it might help you be a little more happy with your line there. So just kind of mess with things. I don't know what smoothing does, but I like to push it to see what it does and then decide if I want to keep it like that or not. So right now I'm thinking it may be okay, but maybe just a bit needs to be a bit bigger. Make sure that you highlight over all of it. If these are locked, it's only going to select this. If you don't have them locked, then it might select some other things that you don't want selected. And I think maybe I want to rotate it a little and make this one a little longer. Okay. Once you have that, you can attempt to paint it with the paint bucket because you do want to have a fill color in there. It might not work the first time, so I would go ahead and find the color you want to use. And you can see that it's not working. So what you can do is highlight over this, and you're going to come up here and click Create Object. Then you can go back and try to fill it with the paint bucket. It should fill after that, okay? Then you want to get like a different color, either darker or lighter, to do the highlight like I did on this one, okay? So I'm going to open that color window again. Just gonna get a color like that. I'm gonna add it to my swatches and get my paintbrush. Ew, that is not right. No, switch it. You just do whatever with that. Just add some more color there. This is not some amazing like animation drawing, okay? So we did end on frame 20. So if you go to frame 20, hold shift and select all of those, you want to insert a keyframe. Okay. Another thing we want to do is, I forgot, on your Jello, with all of it selected, you're going to right click and convert to symbol. And you're going to make it a graphic. You can name that Jello and click OK. Okay, otherwise it's going to tell you to do that eventually when you start moving it around. I want to go to frame 11. First thing you want to do is go to frame 11 and make a keyframe so that it copies that exact image there, okay? And go ahead and just put another one somewhere because you might need that template again because we're about to move it. So on frame 6 is where it's going to jump up. So we're going to insert a keyframe there and move it up. Make sure not to get it like off centered, okay? You want to keep it pretty centered there all the way up. Then you want to first just skip to the third frame, okay? It's better to do like your main poses first and then go back and do the in-betweens. So on frame 3, I'm going to insert a keyframe. I'm going to turn on make sure your onion skin is on. Okay, so what you want to do, if you start squashing and stretches, see how it squashes in the middle and then it doesn't line up right. So what you're going to do is grab this white dot and move it down. Okay, so then when it squashes, it's going to stay the same right there. So it's just getting ready to jump. So it's not going to squash a whole lot. It's just, you know how when you get ready to jump, maybe you bend down a little bit. So something like that. But make it definitely noticeable. Okay, then probably right before it jumps up, we want to do the kind of stretchy pose. So this is where I want that extra one. So I'm going to add another extra frame of this. I'm going to drag this one over here because I want it to be back to the same shape. So it's back to the same shape, but I'm going to bring it up because it's in the middle of stretching. Moving up. But it's also stretching out because it's jumping up, okay? So you can kind of see what that is for now. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this side before I move on. So on frame 2, I'm going to do an in-between of this pose and this pose. So insert a keyframe, and so now, you want to move this dot down. So now it's going to squash a little bit, getting ready for that, and stretch a little bit. So it's like in between your pose 1 and pose 3. Then we want to do an in between of this one. So I'm creating a new keyframe. I'm going to bring it back up a little bit and bring it back in. It's coming back up, getting ready to jump. Then you can kind of play that out. Okay. So then from here to here it ends, but we need the pose where it squashes. And let me see exactly where I put that. Looks like he landed at frame 9. So this one is actually at 11. Did I put it at 11? Yes. Okay, so on frame 9, I'm going to drag this extra pose that I have again to frame 9 so that it's in the exact spot it needs to be in. I'm going to move this dot down and I'm going to squash it because it landed. And stretch. Okay, maybe that's a little dramatic, but that's okay. Exaggeration is good. Okay, so from here, it's gonna move down. Probably not gonna change a lot, just moving down. And then here it is gonna land. So we wanna make a new keyframe that's exactly like this. It lands normal, okay? So I'm gonna move that one here. Sorry if this is confusing. So it lands, but then it squashes as it lands here. Did I do that right? Coming down, lands, squashes. Now we're going to do the in-between pose between these two. Insert a keyframe. So now it's moving up, coming back to the normal size. Okay. And if you think it's if for any reason something is not quite right, maybe it needs a little more squash or stretch. I think the ending is good, but maybe the beginning needs a little more work. Sometimes it's hard to see with all this. So it goes here, maybe a little more squash at this point. Maybe a little more stretch. And maybe a little more here. Well, I think it's not big enough from here to here, so I think I need to move this frame down a little bit. I think that's better. Okay, so as long as you have, a good jump going on there, and I can tell that it's squashing as it is getting ready to jump, and it's squashing as it lands. Okay. And if you remember back when we did the principles, this is anticipation. It's anticipating that it's going to jump, and then this is overshot because as he followed through an overshot, I believe is what it is. As he lands, you know, he's going down because he was just up so high, and then comes back. And then that's it. So from there, you're going to export it as a GIF. Export animated GIF. Put it in your, when it loads, you're going to save it. Put it in your folder that you know where to find it. Possibly give it a name. And save. Make sure it works before you turn it in, and then you'll attach that file.